Well, having been to Haiti 3 times, I was aware of what a third world country meant, and I actually, in the city, most of the conditions were pretty much the same. Out in the country, I think the Boscovet group actually lived in had much better living conditions than what I had seen in Haiti. Part of that might be a result of the help that they've already gotten from this project, but
I think in large part their homes are well kept and well maintained and simple, small, but and dirt floors.
and the healthcare, they have free healthcare available and immunizations. The hardest problem, I think, is transportation to and from those facilities, but it is available.
That was definitely a highlight for me. I enjoyed that. It ended the day on a positive. It was our debriefing at dinner. It was like you could say what you had to say and then go shower up.
I think for me that the sharing of, you know, at those evening meals or even breakfast, but especially the evening meals, sharing your experiences of the day and, you know, your lives in general, and you know, your thoughts of how things, you know, affected you were very, fun is not the right word, but it was
Enlightening.
I think it was helpful
Actually,
to verbally process the day, to bounce it off
Yeah.
other people's and say, you know, this is what I'm feeling and thinking, and have someone else be able to articulate, well, yeah, well, this is, you know, what it was, and it's nothing like we've ever seen. And being able to bounce that off of other people, I think, was really helpful, just to process the whole day and take in the day, because there's a lot that happens in one day.
Right. That might be why our dinner took so long.
I think it was neat how the kids were so receptive to everything we did, but they never, other than sweets, they never really asked for anything.
No.
They never asked for anything, which was nice because they were so humbly grateful for everything.
So the clothes, when you guys handed out the clothes, I wasn't there. Describe how that went.
They were very, very patient, just stood there and let you size
Shine.
them, and then they weren't like, oh no, I want that one, I want that one. They took whatever you gave them.
They're well behaved.
Kelsey and I were in one of the classrooms just to get out of the sun for a few minutes.
I was a little nauseous off the meth.
So we're sitting there, and in comes this little guy who was one of my favorites. He had just a huge smile, and he had his clothes, and he kind of went and got his backpack and stuffed his clothes in the backpack, and he's kind of looking and see if we're watching him. Then he went and he kind of stuffed it in the corner, looking back, make sure we weren't going to take it away from him. It was so cute.
It was nice having all the mothers and everybody staying on the side and not giving them the option to come in, regardless of what they would do, just letting us pick. I tried to put a little fashion flair on it, but they were so grateful, so quiet, went right back to their seat, you know.
There were a
seat
few
on
that
the-
changed into their new clothes. They were very proud.
Did you get pictures of those?
I was giving out clothes. I
Evans took
Well, the
video.
next day, when Ben and I went back for the well, we went, and there were kids wearing the clothes. I recognized one of my T-shirts that I put in there. I was like, "This is awesome, nice. He's wearing it today."
I wish we could have brought twice as much as we did, and I thought we had a lot. We did have a lot, but with what 30, 40, I mean, all this. Just think about the siblings at home
Yeah.
that weren't there. I mean,
There was a limited amount of shoes that went, and I think somewhere halfway in between when we were passing out all the clothes, someone whispered to someone else in the little pile of children that were waiting that if you don't have shoes, they're going to give you shoes. And so about 15 minutes later, we scan the hill, and there's just like 30 tattered shoes just laying on the hill.
They don't match.
A bunch of barefoot kids in line, just like
That was Rick. That
Dirty.
goes, hey, wait a minute.
that was kind of funny, and it was like, they're to give. Go ahead, if you want a pair of shoes, take them. I mean,
Well, the other neat things you gals did with the women that had never been done before was sit down and talk to them about woman type.
Yes.
yeah, we
It
got
is.
Kim to think for
Oh,
that.
man.
Tell them about crisscross.
This is going to be edited. Why even bother? I was trying to teach them about restraint.
How does that go?
They'll know it. There's going to be signs there when we get there. It's amazing though when you don't speak the same language. If you try, there's really not that hard of barriers to communicate, woman to woman. Like, it was pretty easy for me to say, 9 children. You have 9 children. It's time to
Stop.
Lock it up.
It's time
Crisscross.
to crisscross. But they got it.
And when we were exchanging emails here the other day, I wrote you something that I read in that book we're studying now, The Whole in Our Gospel, about empowering women is one of the most important things you can do in a third world country, because it's the women that drive the economy, that drive improvements, that drive families, and by empowering women you'll have more impact than any other single thing that you're going to do. So just you guys relating to the women on that one-on-one basis, I think really gave them at least a small amount of empowerment, confidence.
I remember we were walking up a hill, and I was walking with Pastor's wife, Helen, and I was telling her about the story about the woman carrying the 3 logs, the 8-foot logs on her head, and her husband was walking right next to her, and I couldn't believe that the husband was making his wife carry these long logs on her head, and so I said, Helen, why don't the men, carry the heavy stuff? And she said, well, in Kenya that's just how we do it. And I said, in America the women do a lot of the work, but I said when it comes to the outdoor stuff and the heavy stuff, I think that most American men step up to the table. And I just said, the women take care of the kids and they still take care of the household and pretty much make the meals. But I go, if it's outdoor stuff, at least, I don't think you would ever see a man forcing his wife to carry logs.
Or 5 gallons of water.
Or 5 gallons of water, up a hill 3 or 4 times a day. And she was just amazed at that. She just, she said, they don't? The women don't do anything? And I go, no. One of the things that I look forward to going over the second time was just seeing how they had taken things that they have learned from a clinic or a project and put it to use in their home. And there were 3 or 4 people that really stand out in my mind, especially when we were showing them the new spigot project. When you were drilling that hole, they were in the bucket. The men were just, they're just glued to watching you. And you could see the wheels turning, and going to their homes, you can see that, I want to say Zachary, I think, really got off on the spigot. You could see in fact, was I talking to you? I go watch. Zachary will be Zachary.
Yeah.
Was
He
it
was
you?
out in front,
Because you watch. Zachary will be the first one out there to take that bucket and drill one, and sure enough, he did. And then he ended up doing the cistern as well.
Too, which was a real.
And it was funny because you had never done one. And remember when you were taking the knife and you were kind of cleaning it? I mean, you were cleaning it, but when he did it, when he was working his knife clean, it was like a Michelangelo, carving this bucket.
His circle or his cutout was round too.
Yeah.
Mine would look like a rat had chewed through the bucket.
But last year, some of them went to some type of farming class.
Biointensive organic agricultural training.
So you can tell that David,
Something like that.
Yeah.
David Joyce Evans, who is my brother from another mother. That's what I call him.
I just
my
got
brother
that out of
from
my
another mother.
head.
And
Oh, we love him.
yeah, he is just a very special person. And this, you know, when I went over this time, I just thought, you know, man, Lord, what am I gonna do this? You know, how can I make a difference? I don't know what I'm gonna do. I thought it was so cool because when we get there, here he's got this incredible garden. It's surrounded by that blue mesh stuff to keep the chickens out. And then he's got those 2 places over by his house that nobody's living in.
Empty brick.
And
that's
so
after
he really,
working all day.
but what impressed me is he really took that course, and now what he's doing is he wants to train other, you know, little housing, what would you call that, like a little apartment complex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Single story.
And then to have him take us in his house and ask,
Yeah, which
Dan
is
to pray
which
for
is
him.
smaller than this
Oh, yeah.
room.
oh, it's the size of that rug.
The living room,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole house isn't much bigger than this room.
Yeah.
And was so,
And then I asked him, so who gets to eat these vegetables? And he said, anybody, when the vegetables are ripe, anybody that's in need is welcome to eat in the garden. And I kind of got a lump in my
because
throat.
you know when he
Because
speaks
he
the
asks
truth.
for nothing too. He's never asked for anything. And but now he's training people, and that's what that was what it was all about. So neat guy.
The book I'm reading of yours sure does make sense now.
Mm-hmm.
After the fact.
That you don't, yeah, should have read it before, but you can't give them. Giving them things just doesn't help them.
Enable.
Yeah, I mean, really, truly will get them through, but you have to teach them something. Bring them nothing, really, if you just teach them how to provide for themselves.
Provide emergency relief, and then the rest of it is kind of a hands-up type of approach where you teach them and they can develop that and move on. Like Evans has done a great job with that organic agricultural training. What's so neat about working with this group over there is you've got quality people like him and Kennedy and Lillian and David and Joyce that really have the best interests of that community, that group at heart. And you know that even though some of them sometimes come asking you for individual things, that overall they've got the interest of the group at heart, and what you bring to them is going to be shared amongst the group, and is only going to grow expand their mission.
And they just started this, the 3 of them.
And it's their mission. I mean, it's not ours. Yeah.
They just started it just because it was an area of need.
Mm-hmm.
Not any of them were from that direct place.
Community.
The community.
Maniqua. Yeah.
But they work so
They're
hard
close.
on top of working full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They all 3 have families. Boy, did they take good care of us. They were there every day on African time.
Yeah.
But they were there and they went everywhere with us, setting their jobs and their families aside for 13 days.
Yep.
They took such good care of us. All 3 of them. Tell them about